Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I remember it so you don't have to. You know, Hollywood has a talent for taking symbols of our cherished childhood and smashing them into indescribable amounts of fecal matter, and nowhere is that more prominent than in the horrors of the Super Mario Bros. Movie. The game, about two Italian plumbers who rescue a princess from a dragon, was such a huge hit.
Luigi, look, it's from Bowser. Dear
You pesky plumbers. The Koopalings and I have invited you to one of our, 6 hotels.
Wrong. Boo. Wrong. You fucked up. It's the Koopalings and I have taken over the Mushroom Kingdom. The prince.
Oh, shut up.
I hope you're fucking embarrassed, you fucking bitch.
You know what? I am embarrassed because I've been raised on YouTube poops and I forgot.
Yeah, you've been raised sniffing fucking shit. I hope she makes lots of spaghetti.
Spaghetti.
You think I can't wait till Zoomers write the questions for Jeopardy and you'll get like what food did the princess make? What is spaghetti? Wouldn't that be crazy?
That'd be so cool to see when I'm 70. All right. Well, welcome to our new episode of Zoomer Tombstone. Today we're reviewing the Mario movie from 1993.
And this is we haven't seen this movie in 3 weeks, so our memory might be a little fuzzy. Because we're so good at this.
We're so good at podcasting, guys. We had a bit of a delay because we were stuck at our wagey jobs.
Yeah,
and we couldn't agree on a time to do the podcast. So now we're here, and now we're here to talk about the movie.
Yeah, let's get right into it. So the movie starts with that like the MS Paint, like dinosaurs drawn with like the narration. Look, the movie is good. I'm just gonna say off the bat, the movie is good, but there's some things that don't work, and I don't think that like MS Paint thing works. Imagine seeing that on the big screen in like 93.
It's experimental CGI. You can't really knock him for trying.
No, it wasn't CGI. It was like pixels. It was like
it
wasn't even like the opening of the movie.
Oh yeah,
where the dinosaurs went like extinct and shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's still considered CGI because back then, like in the early 90s, even having a program like MS Paint was like a horribly taxing thing on like computer systems. So like, I can't really knock him for it looking like shit.
Okay, man, I wish you kept those fucking notes.
I don't think I even wrote notes for this movie, but I mean, regardless, I remember a lot from the movie because it was a very vivid viewing. A lot of it stuck in the back of my mind. Like, one of the things that I fucking loved about this movie was the fact that the entire thing was just like a big, long, like, Paul Verhoeven film. It just had that, like, 1980s style kitsch, like, early 90s style kitsch to it.
Well, there's the Max Headroom show of the 80s. The people who made that worked on this movie.
And I think, what a good, what an excellent decision, because it just gives this film and I said film, not movie, it's film.
Yeah, I mean, this is unironically an underrated movie. And
it's really good.
Yeah,
I mean, like, people shit on it for being like, oh, it's so horrible and it's awful looking. Like, yeah, the character designs are pretty shit, but like the actual like movie content of it and the production value, holy shit, it's like surprisingly good.
Yeah, because some fucking like cringy ass fucking Redditor on Letterboxd who's like who's like 19 years old wearing his like Scarface Mario shirts going like, this movie stinks because it's not like the video games. And it's like, this was 93. I mean, yes, there was the Mario cartoon, but for the most part, this was like the identity of Mario wasn't this like engraved thing. This wasn't like that fucking the modern day Mario that we've seen for 20 years. Mario was still relatively new in 93.
Mhm.
So, like give them some leeway,
I don't know. I mean, as far as video game movies go, I remember this being mentioned before by some people in my Discord, but like this movie kind of paved the way for future video game movies, and it kind of started the trend of video game movies being bad, but it also just paved the way for video game movies in general. I mean, this movie is why we got the Street Fighter movie.
Really? I mean, I always been told that the Mario movie, like, it was the reason why Nintendo was very stingy about their properties.
I mean, yeah, that's also true.
It's I mean, obviously we are going to have to compare this one to the new movie, which you still haven't seen it, right?
No, I haven't seen the new movie yet. Although, from what I've gathered of the new movie, of the Super Mario Brothers movie, um, it just kind it plays it safe from what I heard.
Yeah, it's a very impressive film. It's visually the most beautiful CGI movie in like a long time. But yeah, it plays it way too safe, and this movie does not play it safe. This movie has such a bizarre plot of like the human world, and then there's like this other human world that evolved from lizards. Like this is like honestly, I think the problem with this movie is that this plot is like something that should be in like a TV show. This is like way too insane for like a single movie.
Yeah, although I think the plot, they had the movie's time and they had the budget for it, and they just had to fucking grab it and growl. They had to wing that shit because if they had this broken up into a series, the first episode would have sunk the whole thing, and we wouldn't have gotten this amazing piece of cinema.
I mean, as a movie, for the most part, it does work. You really do like
Well,
the main
yeah,
characters. I do feel there is like it's a very catch-22 of a movie because the movie does a good job at making me interested in this like dystopian like setting. Like I want to know
yeah,
more about this world, but the other thing is like there is a lot of it that's just very unexplained. Like when King Koopa dies, like apparently there's like everything in society changes, and I'm like, I don't know if that would happen. I feel like there's like a whole movie itself that could fit. Just like everyone starts celebrating after King Koopa dies. I'm like, when it like you still have like this like vicious police force, but I mean,
I mean, yeah, but like the Mario and Luigi kind of kill like most of the police officers in that big chase they have.
oh yeah, this was a real this was you could tell this was a before 9/11 movie where you actually have like the cops just be fucking bad.
Yeah, just straight up cop villains, and that I mean, that was I don't know the whole thing. It's just it was part of this like random spring of like early '90s like anti-fascist movies, like Starship Troopers, where it's just like, hey kids, fuck the police. Oh, hey Mario, we're gonna fucking ram a police cruiser.
I mean, I guess it's like refreshing because like we've been just watching like I don't want to be the guy who shits on Marvel for like the sake of it, but those movies are very like they have like no stance, whereas this is like such a fucking loud, brash movie.
But like this movie is like if you took an AI, like you went to like an AI thing, right? And you just typed in like the Mario Brothers as a dark fantasy 80s film, and this is what you'd get.
No,
You
I
know,
no, I did. This movie's too respectable to be compared to an AI thing. Come on.
no. I mean, like you're not understanding what I'm saying. Like whenever you generate images that are like that, it's like that same vibe. It's like that
Oh,
dark,
you mean
like
visually, like visually.
yeah, visually,
Okay,
visually.
okay.
I'm not saying it's an AI generated movie. I'm saying that like the visuals of like a generic like 80s dark fantasy film are just like it's so like similar to the Mario movie, and it's so grimy, it's so like moody in a lot of ways. And the framing of a lot of the sets was just awesome. I mean, there was a part where like the like King Koopa or whatever was like walking down a like a catwalk up to Mario at the like near the end of the movie. And behind him, if you pay attention, there's a really big poster for his like election campaign of him like kissing a baby as he's like holding this like energy gun about to kill Mario in front of like God and everybody. I wouldn't even call it a joke. That's just like good characterization using the environment. Like that is how you frame an evil politician.
Yeah,
It's really good.
I definitely wanted to see more of this Koopa world. I'm really sad this movie never got a sequel because I would have liked to expand this. And I will say, Dennis Hopper's King Koopa was my favorite character in the movie.
I mean, he did a good job. He played off the like stereotypical like 80s corporate villain really well.
I do think like there should have been like more about like the politician side of King Koopa, like I don't know, some like a TV like a campaign ad or something, just to add a bit
Yeah,
more. But uh, this
I
was
mean, they did good with this in a lot of ways, but I feel like yeah, that's a way they could probably improve because you know, like King Koopa once we meet him, he's just already the leader of the place even though he's got like campaign ads everywhere from where he like clearly had to like run an election and like he won the election and now he's suddenly the king. Like how does that work?
yeah, that's my problem with the movie is that I feel like the third act was a little rushed when explaining some of the lore. Like
Mhm.
I mentioned before, how everything just magically happens after King Koopa dies, or that one part with the Scapelli thing where he turns into a monkey and then like no one in Brooklyn is like what the fuck? They all just think it's kind of amusing. I didn't like
Yeah.
that. I thought that was a little rushed. That
I
was
thought it
also
was kind of funny. I thought it was kind of funny how they just didn't react.
I mean, like in a shit post way, but I feel like if you're gonna like do a comparison of like these two worlds, you gotta like have some sort of groundedness. Like you have to have the other our world be grounded, you know?
Yeah. Although
And
I gotta say this movie, just visually, what it reminds me of the most, weirdly enough, is like Blade Runner at times.
oh yeah,
It's like
Mark.
like Blade Runner and Mad Max. Like it is crazy how just they get the atmosphere in this movie down pat so well for like what is essentially a really terrible adaptation of a video game that nowadays, you know, with hindsight, people like to judge because it's like, oh, you know, Mario wasn't even a thing back then. You know, it's hardly developed as a character. You know, he all people knew about Mario in 1993 was he was Italian and he was a plumber.
He was a
And for
filthy Dago Wop piece of shit.
him, I don't know if you want to say that on the podcast.
Okay, okay.
I think those are
Um,
considered slurs.
okay. Mario was an upstanding Italian American.
It's okay, guys. He can say it. He's 1/64th Italian.
I'll just cut it out.
Nah, it's fine. Uh, but I will say this, however, something that might penalize me here.
Yeah.
I hate the Goombas. I know, unpopular opinion. I know. I hate the fucking Goombas.
Well,
They
you
look
sound
like penis men.
you fucking phrase that like how Donald Trump would say, like, I know.
I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. It's a bit of it's a little unpopular of an opinion, but I think the Goombas look like dicks.
Man, the Goombas were I'm fucking motoring my mouth. The Goombas were pretty cool. I fuck with the Goombas, man. That scene where they were dancing in the elevator, I was laughing, bro. That was some funny ass shit.
I thought it was very weird that like how they explained like the like gene splice or whatever the fuck it was, how you know, it could like devolve people into like an ancestor that they have, and like most of the people there were like just monsters. Apparently, I don't know, that whole plot line of like everyone being a like an evolved animal essentially just seems a bit odd. I kind of would have preferred if they had just all been like non-human, but I don't know. I guess it would have taken away from the '80s charm of having like a very human-looking, very evil-looking villain instead of just a big lizard man.
Fungus. Trust the fungus.
Trust the fungus.
Trust the fungus. Okay, so I guess if we're gonna have more content here, we are going to have to compare the new one with the old one. And I know you haven't seen it, but I feel like this movie was like rated like PG or whatever, right? PG.
Let me take a look at that. Yeah, it was rated PG.
Okay, and I have this like notion that like this movie was sort of meant for like the whole family because there's just so much. It also doesn't like treat kids like babies. Whereas
Yeah.
as much as I like the new Mario movie, there are times where I'm like, I'm not a fucking like baby because, or like you don't have to like talk down. Like even if the audience is like kids, you don't have to like completely neuter it because like this movie just has so much like themes and such. It has like kids can handle explosion, kids can handle like some fucking like grown up jokes. The new movie, as beautiful as it is, it's just so like it's the movie that Nintendo always wanted, but you know there is kind of a blandness to it.
I mean, a little bit, yeah. The main thing that kind of was a concern for me with this movie, well, not really a concern, but just like a thing for me is that, yeah, it's like PG, but like it feels like an adult movie, doesn't it? Like it doesn't put on the kiddie gloves at all. Because
Yeah.
like, everything isn't like bright candy, fucking, yeah, 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 you're in candy fucking land. It's the Mushroom Kingdom. Yeah, like I don't know. The new movie, even though it's more accurate to the games, it feels like it plays it too safe, and
Yeah,
like in the trailers of the movie you see like like Bowser like acting all big and tough and like like fighting those like penguin people or whatever. That seemed kind of cool, and I wish they had like taken the um like aesthetic of Mario and then kind of gone more into like why Bowser is evil.
well,
Uh,
it's not
uh,
even just like that. It's just you have like a punch up writer who could actually like make like jokes for like all ages because like the average joke in the 93 movie was something like probably a non-union job, which got a chuckle from me. Whereas the average
mm.
joke in the new movie is Mario saying "Mamma Mia" in slow motion like 5 times. It's like, come on.
Yeah, and the new movie, from what I heard, and this is just from what I heard because I haven't seen the new movie, but I heard that they throw in like random bits of like dad rock in there, and I don't know, it has this taint of Illumination Entertainment
It's
throughout the movie from what I've heard, and I feel like that just spoils any movie anymore because it's like Illumination Entertainment. Anytime you see any of their quirks in movies, any of their anything in movies, I just immediately think, oh, this is by the guys who made the Minions.
I mean, okay. There's some dad rock I like when I heard Thunderstruck, yeah, because AC/DC is cool and shit. But man, when they did like Mr. Blue Sky at the end of the movie, I was like, oh no, no, because it's just like it's not the dad rock itself. It's just like it's the most like overused dad rock, and
Yeah, it's fodder.
like I
It's just like this appeals to a mass audience.
I mean, look.
And not trying to say that the new Mario movie should be this like niche, film noir fucking, art house film. I'm more saying that that the old one that was kind of like that was kind of fucking rad. And I don't think it deserves the 4 stars that it has on fucking IMDb right now
Yeah,
out of 10. That's bullshit. This is a good movie.
Yeah, and like I don't like shitting on the new movie because it took a like it's a very beautiful movie. I think I had a lot of fun with it. I It deserves a sequel. But yeah, like the Simpsons movie, it was like focus group to death. And yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, the Mario movie is better than the Simpsons movie because like with the Mario movie, you could at least say, well, it's Mario. You know, at the end of the day, it's fucking Mario. Whereas the Simpsons, it should be more prestige. But I'm getting a little off topic. I just want to say that you could that when it comes to the '93 movie, you could respect it much more for at least trying to push boundaries, or at least just trying to make a good ass movie. And you know, I like a
I
lot of
mean,
kids movies nowadays just feel so like talking down to kids like they're babies, whereas kids movies like back then, like this is like among with Who Framed Roger Rabbit. You know, you watch those movies
yeah.
and it treats it tells a good story to kids, and they could fucking like be introduced to like adult themes without it being like completely like gritty. Just like a good middle ground that's like fun. Like you could showcase death. There was a lady who turned into a fucking skeleton in this movie. And
Yeah, she literally died.
yeah,
Like unequivocally, she just got killed.
and like that's something like a kids movie should have, not like this like gory like graphic detail thing, but just like the concept of death, just like the concept of a real like adult like thing that happens, you know.
Mhm. I mean, it's there's just so much about the 1993 Mario movie that's just so good, and it's just it's hard to articulate. You know, it's like a fucking Marxist anti-cop kids film that doesn't treat kids like dumbasses.
Yeah, it's like every movie after 9/11 is like, oh yeah, every cop is like a good guy from like the heartland. I don't know, this movie's like, oh, some cops are just fucking assholes.
Yeah, you know, a lot of movie just 9/11 has really brain rotted America, because like everything that came out after that, especially immediately afterwards, has always just been like God bless America, you know, just a bunch of fucking propaganda. You know, ever since the fucking dawn of the Patriot Act, we've just been getting fed fodder all the time. You know, it's like, oh, it's either like a gritty action movie where the main guy is the good guy and he's working for the government or something, or it's like a kids movie where the moral is you know, some authority is bad, but some authority is really good. This movie's just like fuck that. Fuck authority, fuck the cops, fuck the king, fuck the fascists.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
it's look, I don't want to make us sound like fucking like Chapo Trap House like eggheads who are like, yeah, this movie is like really like this movie was created with the intent of anarcho communo. Like I don't want to be that fucking guy, but it's just like
Yeah.
the natural like conscience to like, oh hey, let's make a movie where uh cops are shitty, uh this politician's a complete asshole. Like the writers probably didn't even think about politics too much, but it's just like giving kids an idea that the world is kind of a shitty place, you know,
Yeah,
just you know.
it kind of eases them into that idea that like, oh hey kids, this like corpo fucking CEO guy is like trying to ruin the Mario Brothers
Yeah,
little plumbing business.
two
He's like
working class,
actively
yeah.
yeah, he's like actively ruining their lives.
And
And
yeah, it's
the
kind of
cops like the cops are working for this like politician that gained power and has absolute power now. Everyone's in fear of him. You know, this is like a dystopic society, and it's because of this guy.
no, I mean, if this movie had any like real like political intentions, it probably wouldn't have just been like King Koopa is bad. It probably would have been like the whole system is bad. But you know, this
Well,
is a
yeah.
Mario movie, so we have to like understand like the limits here.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not the fucking Communist Manifesto. It's a Mario movie,
Yeah.
but
What a quote.
but I mean, it's also like entertaining.
Oh,
Like
it's
it's
fucking it's so fucking good with the practical effects.
yeah, and it doesn't have to dangle like big bright fucking colors or big like wow CGI effects. Well, because they didn't have CGI back then, but they didn't have to like dangle big bright colors and recognizable songs and relatable this, relatable that. It was just like, hey, let's film a fucking like horror show shit ride through this like dystopic nightmare world, and we're gonna have these two funky Italian men experiencing it, and we're gonna throw in a bunch of wacky side characters like a literal fucking dinosaur because it's Yoshi. It's just whatever. It's a fun movie without trying to be too try hard of being a fun movie. Because like
I
nowadays, every time we get like a quote unquote fun movie, it's always like, yeah, poop fart minion, ha, dance off at the end.
I hate the Mario movie. It had Princess Daisy instead of Princess Peach. Cinema sin.
God.
Boo! It's the worst video game movie of all time. My penis is small.
It's kind of funny that there's like a kind of idea that like people watch this movie and rated it really lowly, but like if you look at like the recent reviews on Letterboxd and like IMDb, people fucking love this movie. Like
Because
nowadays.
well, yeah, because like early 2010s like film internet was like jerking yourself off to like just like what movie could I like put on my like wall that has a good score on Rotten Tomatoes? Like it was very conscious. Nowadays it's just like, yeah, the Mario movie was good. Fuck you. Like I don't care if this was like faithful to the video game as its own movie. It was cool. It had a cool aesthetic. It was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean shit, it was I don't know, it was a different time in the 2010s because back then they were just at a race to the bottom. They were first starting off on YouTube, trying to be the best film channel on YouTube and shit, and all those YouTube reviewers were just like, "Hey guys, what cringe can I find today? People really loved when I talked about The Room. Isn't The Room a really fucking bad movie, guys?" And now and now it's like they raced to find like the Mario movie especially, and they're like, "Oh, hey guys, remember that terrible game movie that they made in the 90s? Isn't that so fucking silly?"
Well,
And
yeah,
now
oh, sorry.
nowadays, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like nowadays, people are just so I think
Relax.
tired.
They're free. They're free from the film bros. They're fucking
Yeah,
free.
they're free. They're free from the film bureaus, except maybe the ones when they talk about Star Wars or Marvel. But that's kind of where the honeypot has been set. Anytime you talk about Star Wars or fucking Marvel or whatever like popular pop culture film is out right now, that's where they all flock to. But all the old like cringe stuff you can actually look at nowadays with like a fresh new set of goggles and be like, oh, this movie was actually kind of good in a lot of ways.
Well, yeah, half the fucking like Seinfeld watching nerds who wore fedoras and checkered shorts who reviewed this movie in 2012. They watched this movie with the hate boner. They
Yeah.
didn't watch it naturally. They watched it being like they watched it writing stupid notes like what were they thinking when they saw the Goombas or some shit. It's just like, why don't you like fucking just sit down, shut the fuck up, eat the popcorn, and watch the fucking movie, you bitch.
I mean, it just like they poisoned the well so bad for a lot of these older, like kind of more silly movies that it's like, nowadays, uh, it's kind of hard to get past that sometimes with some movies. Like if you watch The Room, the cult around that movie is just a hate boner circle jerk whack off fest where they're just like, whoa, is it Tommy Wiseau so fucking weird?
I
Is it?
mean, it's not a good movie.
I mean, it's not, but like they do the same thing for this movie. And this movie does not deserve that.
Yeah, this movie, like, this was a good fucking movie, and yeah, I look, we
Yeah.
know that we know the production behind this movie was a little chaotic. I think Bob Hoskins like broke his leg or something.
Yeah, and wasn't like John Leguizamo and the other guy who plays
Bob
Mario.
Hoskins.
Yeah, Bob Hoskins. Weren't they like fucking sloshed the entire film?
I mean, I could imagine being on that set would have given you a big migraine with those fucking lights for like if you were there for weeks.
Yeah, that's actually, you know what? That's actually a trope I've wanted to talk about for a while in 80s and 90s films
Yeah.
are the strobe lights. I fucking hate movies that have strobe lights in them. Just like for that one scene, if they're like Alien, for example, half of that movie is strobe lights in a hallway. Ah, painful. Painful, painful. Great movie, painful to the eyes. I
Well, I
hate
mean,
strobe lights.
it wasn't the whole point was that you're supposed to be like uncomfortable?
I mean, yeah, but it's like I don't know if it's like an autism thing or just being fucking mentally ill, but like whenever there's a lot of strobing lights, I immediately just get pain in my eyeballs, and I'm just like, okay, turn away. Yeah, just turn
Yeah.
away. It's
I'm
like
wa-
jump scares. It's like jump scares. I hate jump scares, not because they're like, "Whoa, scary." It's because it like sets off my fucking parasympathetic nervous system, and I'm just like, "Oh, I suddenly don't enjoy this movie anymore."
do you need to put on Teletubbies? Well, I got Teletubbies on the TV if you want to watch Teletubbies.
Shut the fuck up. but uh but no, for real, like I heard that this is a very much a cocaine movie.
Oh,
And
yeah, and you know what? It gives it fucking attitude. It gives it a little flavor.
I mean, yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Every weird thing about this movie makes it unique. And you know what? A lot of these newer movies that play it too safe, it's like that one scene in Troy. If you ever watched the movie Troy, it's like this is why they will never remember your name. This is why they'll never remember your movie, motherfucker. Do you think people in 20 years are going to look at the Super Mario Brothers movie from 2023 and be like, whoa, remember that movie? It was so awesome. No, that shit's going to go into a fucking bargain bin. And it'll be like, oh, hey, that's the like Mario movie. Cool.
The
But like,
faithful adaptation to the Mario movie.
it's like, wow, it's the faithful adaptation. It's normal, guys.
Too bad
Is
I
it?
already have the video game.
Yeah. Wow, it's the normal one. It's got Chris Pratt in it. Wow, that's so cool. And then this one, this fucking train wreck that we watched, it's like, oh wow, guys, that's the really weird Mario movie from the 90s.
The
It's like
experimental one.
it's experimental. There's crazy shit going
The
on.
cyberpunk
This might be
Mario movie.
Yeah, it's like cyberpunk. We could watch it like that. That is why people will remember this movie. And I think like the producers and the director and all those people, they weren't thinking about that when they made this movie. But the fact that it happened is fucking beautiful.
And it feels like as like properties are getting clobbered by like the bigger corporation one by one, it feels like these types of movies just won't exist anymore, at least letting like the IP be more free, have a little more experimental edge to it.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah, I mean the overly like protective kind of helicopter parentness of like corporations over their IPs has made a lot of movies nowadays just either bad or mediocre. And I think when it comes to art, any kind of art form, you don't want to be mediocre the most. You could revel in being bad, you could revel in being good, but being mediocre is a death sentence.
I could imagine Nintendo in like 93 like being very passive when giving like notes to like famous film studios, but now that Nintendo's like a beast, I could see them being very more having more power when being protective of their IP to the point where, like you said, it's helicopter parenting. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that that's why they completely neutered the new Mario movie into just something that's very safe. But You know, if I have to give one thing, you're gonna shit on me for this.
Okay.
This might be the reason why I still kind of respect that the Velma show, as flawed as that show is, because it's at least Warner Bros. Like letting their IP do something completely different.
You know, normally I would probably be relentless on you about this, but I mean, that's kind of a good thing that they at least tried to experiment.
I mean, is there any other like sort of big IP that's kind of being like treated that way? I mean, I guess some of the Marvel movies, like you'll get like a Logan every once in a while, you know?
I heard that Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which came out recently, I heard that it kind of does this because the Guardians movies always kind of stood separate from the rest of the Marvel run. But I heard that they kind of did a little bit of experimentation. They actually closed out the trilogy with this last one, and they just finished the whole storyline for all the characters. Which I mean, that's pretty ballsy for anything Marvel, and that kind of just continues to showcase how Marvel's slowly dying. But like, I don't know. I mean, as far as IPs go for like big IPs, I think the closest we got to a successful experimentation like that was the Batman.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, just to completely fucking. I feel like when you get like writers who are very like strong headed, you'll get something like the Batman.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, not to pivot to the Batman, but it's like one of my favorite movies just because of the fact that it is so just it breaks away so hard from the DCEU Batman because they just like Ben Affleck's Batman. I'm sorry, people love Ben Affleck's Batman or whatever for some reason.
It's
But
dad
like,
rock Batman, man. No one wants to fucking.
yeah, yeah, it's Dad Rock Batman. It's like, oh, what if Batman was given a gun? He killed a bunch of people. Oh, I'm Pickle Rick. It's just like, who cares?
Yeah,
I want.
oh, sorry.
It's like I want a detective Batman who's an emo ass bitch.
Yeah, it's just like we are sick of seeing like fucking Bruce Wayne as this like this like generic fucking slate of a character. Like, yeah, I like Robert Pattinson's like take on this Batman as this sort of not
Yeah,
perfect guy who he fucks up. It's I know it's hard to say like a realistic Batman since Batman's not the most realistic concept, but it's just kind of nice. And also it's just like it's allowed to be R-rated. It's they allow the movie to be like miserable. Like they allow it to be
yeah,
fucking depressing and not just a bunch of fucking dad rock. Like they don't have like fucking like uh what the fuck, like Mr. Blue Sky playing when Batman takes over Gotham. Like
yeah.
I don't fucking know.
I mean, that's the thing too, and it's like when you actually analyze the Batman versus like Batman versus Superman, the Batman versus Superman Batman is like infinitely more lethal on paper than the Batman's Batman. But honestly, I find the Batman, like Robert Pattinson's Batman, to be way more threatening because he, like, I don't know, in that movie, they showcase a lot of like how he uses like fear to control the city.
He's quiet.
And
He's fucking
he's
quiet.
quiet.
And that's
He's
fucking
quiet.
cool.
He bursts from the fucking shade and beats up gangsters in front of other gangsters and then disappears without a trace. He
And
gets shot and he survives it, and he doesn't even use guns to fight. He just beats them with his fists.
and they actually add like and to add to like they sort of change the IP a bit, they could showcase that maybe Bruce Wayne's parents were not like perfect fucking people. Like
Yes,
that is yeah, that's good. Like let's
I
fucking
loved that. That was so fucking good in that movie. And that is why I think experimentation in movies is so fucking good for like long running IPs because you get a fucking home run swing like the Batman every once in a while that just like it just takes this whole concept of a character that's been done and done and done and done and done over and over for decades and turns him into a whole new thing by just tweaking a few little things. every adaptation of Batman's like, oh, Bruce and Martha Wayne are like infallible victims, but then like you in the Batman, it's like, oh, Bruce Wayne was like a corrupt politician
Well,
who had
Thomas
to
Wayne is the dad.
or sorry, Thomas Wayne. Sorry, Thomas Wayne was like a corrupt politician who had to like do dealings with the mob to like silence a reporter, and he got killed by the mob as a result, because he like fucked around and found out or something.
Yeah, and
And
it's like every. Oh, sorry.
no, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, and like a lot of Batman stories has to have like this like weird like vintage like 1940s thing where like the mafia guy his name's like Big Tommy with like a Tommy gun, and it's like as much as I like Batman the animated series, it has kind of reduced Batman to being this like vintage character, and
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
the movie does stray far away from that, and I really like that.
what I like the most about earlier like Batman animated stuff was that like Art Deco kind of like 30s to 40s noir
Eh,
kind of feel, but like at the same time for like a modern Batman movie, um you can't really have that anymore. So you got to make it fucking grimy. Give it that aesthetic of darkness
yeah,
instead of
and
it being like contrasting between like in like the older like Art Deco stuff. They'd be like, oh, this is an opulent city, but it's got some shadows in the alleys. But then nowadays, it's just like this whole city is fucked. It's just grimy, crime is everywhere, fucking but it's like a city at the same time. It's like a normal functioning city. It's still like a modern metropolis, but there's that underbelly of crime throughout all of it that just paints it in this dark light,
yeah,
and
but
I
it's
love
not
it.
like this like two-dimensional thing where it's just like bankers and like guys who rob banks.
Yeah,
It's just like, like let's acknowledge that like some people who are fucking like in like Bruce Wayne's like, league are also capable of being criminals.
a lot of it kind of I think a lot of what I like about the Batman was just how morally gray they made a lot of it. But
Yeah.
like not in like a chintzy like, oh, this is a good guy who does bad stuff, oh, or he's like a bad guy who does some good thing. No, this is like the it's like all of these people are criminals in some way, shape, or form, but it's ultimately like this up to Batman to be kind of the judge, jury, and executioner, to figure out like, okay, well, the mafia guy Falcone, he's killed a lot of people, but I'm still gonna bring him to jail. I'm not gonna fucking kill him because that's my like. There's a lot of like morals being shown off in that movie. I don't know. We're going on the Batman a lot. I could talk about that movie forever, but like you kind of know what I'm saying, right? Like there's a
Yeah,
lot more. There's a lot more concepts being thrown in there, and that's what I love when fucking people experiment with movies, because you get shit like that. You get things like that. And that is shown here in the Mario movie. Not to the extent of the Batman, I will admit that. But there's just a lot of concepts in this movie that you would never see from a modern movie these days. Like anything that's like overtly anti-corporate, hell no. I mean, have you seen like when was the last time Illumination made like anything that alluded to any kind of anti-corporate stuff? I
no,
think it was probably the Lorax.
I don't want to be the guy who like blabs out like anti-corporate because you
I'm
know
not I'm not saying just anti-corporate is like a thing, but I'm just saying like, when have movies had the fucking cojones to do something that's like, critical of society lately?
I feel like just having that, like regardless of political ideology, just giving kids like the cynicism, like, oh, the system is not always there to help you.
Yeah, I
I
mean
feel like,
that I loved that too. That was awesome.
it's kind of like The Simpsons, like as a whole, is not like a particularly Marxist show. So I'm not gonna like
No.
phrase it as this anti-corporate thing, man. But I I do think on a cultural level, the show like shows like most like adult figures are shitty at their job. morally corrupt, then the system's not always there. Just by having the police force on The Simpsons be like morons, it adds cynicism to it, and I do think
it's countercultural to a degree.
yeah, regardless
You know,
of intent, it's just naturally like this natural cynicism that everyone has, regardless if you're pro-capitalism or anti-capitalism. Everyone has a sense that the modern world is this fucking dog eat dog world, and some movies
well,
cover it up, and some movies don't.
let me throw on my red beret here for a second and go full communist. But I feel like, you know, even though like you say that, like, you know, despite your politics, you know, people have this like sense of that the world is like a dog eat dog world. It's very, you know, hyper competitive, you know,
Well,
and society is kind of shit in some ways.
I
There's some, you know,
can I
it's
stop you?
counter. There's a counter, huh?
I'm just gonna stop. When I said everyone, I kind of mean like artists, like people who write and make
Well,
stuff.
yeah, I know what you mean. But like, as I was saying, um, like the world and the cynicism around the world and that counterculture, you know, you say like, you know, regardless of politics, people kind of all have a sense of that. I think it's because deep down, everyone kind of agrees on the same stuff that we dislike. And in my opinion, that happens to be in kind of a leftist slant. And I think that this kind of like anti societal countercultural stuff that we all kind of enjoy seeing in a lot of media has a kind of anti-capitalist root, an anti state root as well. And I
I
know
would
that's like
say,
that's super pretentious of me to say. I know people in the comments are gonna fucking kill me, but like that like in my opinion, I think that's what kind of like binds a lot of us together. A lot of people who watch media and a lot of people who make media is the idea that they want to say something about society in a way that comes off as being meaningful. And a lot of that is rooted in a sense of being against the current culture, of criticizing the current culture because they desire for something better, whether that's being against a police state or against corporations or just being like pro fucking Italian greasy plumber men over like, you know, just living their lives. You know, it just, I don't know. That's
now
just my opinion.
I will say I think naturally people have more of like they feel more threat of a police state rather than some vague capitalism. Even though like those are clearly two combined things in modern American society, but
Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah,
the
like
police serve the capitalists.
yeah, but I mean, in other countries, like the police serve like the state, regardless if they are capitalists or not. Like,
Well, yeah. I
I,
mean, yeah, of course.
because like I mean, shit. I mean, like as much as I don't like modern day neoliberalism, I'll take that over like a fucking like death cult fascist any day.
Well, yeah, of
So
course. I mean that I'm, you know, as a leftist guy, I always have to kind of make this remark that, you know, if the choice is between like a blue dog Democrat and the same old like post 9/11 hero worship bullshit versus like jackbooted fascism or like, you know, Chinese Communist Party fucking red fascism, I would take the blue dog Democrat horse shit any day of the week just because like, you know, I don't care how much like I hate society that, you know, I'm not gonna fucking throw away my like democratic rights and my like freedoms that I do have just to be like, yeah, I'm part of the superior group of people and the police are on my side now. I don't care about that. I just want to be left alone.
well, yeah, that's sort of why I do phrase a lot of these movies like just anything cynical of the police to be more anti-police state than capitalism, even if there are like
Yeah,
undertones
but
or even just the cynicism itself makes fun of capitalism. I
think
just
about it. Think about it like this though for the Mario movie, right?
yeah,
Where are the police in this movie?
serving
They're in
Koopa.
They're in Manhattan.
Yeah.
So this is lampooning almost directly the American police.
I mean, well,
And
yeah.
the American police, most of all, are capitalist, uh, you know, lapdogs. They protect property. You know, that's their purpose. If you're homeless in the middle of New York, who's gonna throw you out? A cop, because you're lowering property values. You know, it's not like this movie was set in like fucking Beijing and it's like you know, the Tiananmen Square massacre is happening and it's just like, you know, all the Koopalings are like red Vanguard cops, you know, marching the tanks down down Beijing and you know, shooting fucking Koopas. You know, like they're like, yeah, I mean, like socialist countries and like communist countries around the world, they're pretty authoritarian for the most part. I kind of blame Stalin for that, but that, you know, they have their own problems with their police, but this is America. Our police have different problems, and the problem is that they're violent, they're crazy, and they're like Mad Max fucking road pirates, you know? And that's kind of how they're portrayed in the Mario movie, and I think that's just awesome, like visually.
I mean, okay. I mean, I've met good cops before, but I know like probably like a lot of them, especially in urban areas, are like dog shit.
I mean, I'm friends with a cop. He's a little sussy, but I wouldn't say he's a bad person. But that doesn't mean that the institution of
Oh,
policing is suddenly okay.
yeah, of course. Like, I mean, didn't they like bomb like a like an inner city in like in the 80s or something?
Yeah, the fucking what was it called? Move. It was like a like some kind of like, I don't know the actual details on it, but it was like a inner city like activist group, and the police dropped bombs on them from biplanes and helicopters.
Wait. Don't you mean bombs?
Shut the fuck up.
It was 40 years ago.
That's not that long.
Yeah, that's actually pretty bad.
That's pretty recent. That's like it's like in the 40s being like, oh, you know, the Tulsa race massacre was only 20 years ago.
Oh.
It was ages ago. But anyways, back to the movie. I don't know. I love a lot of the visuals they came up with in this movie. It's very fucking absurd in a lot of ways, and it's great. It's fun. It's got some political motivations. Now, don't take this, dear viewer, as this is a communist movie, because it's not. It's a Nintendo property. It's not communist. It's not anything like that. But it did have the balls to say some things that a lot of movies nowadays won't say.
You know, it probably did not have any fucking intentions, but it was just it was a time when people were just comfortable, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
This was a movie, I think this was a movie with a lot of production problems, but I could say the directors and writers, they at least had freedom, and that's something we just you don't see them in a lot of movies nowadays, man.
mhm. it's uh it's just it's interesting how people loathed this movie in the past, but this movie I don't know, it's good. I mean, there's people in here that on like Letterbox, like here's a review that I'm looking at right now. One guy gave it half a star and said, "This whole movie is the equivalent of to nailing my balls to a charcuterie board."
Wow, very mature. Do you feel big writing that, you piece of shit?
And that was from 2 days ago, man. Like, I don't get how people I don't get how people like hate this movie so much, because it's just there's so much about it that's just so interesting.
Yeah. First day of summer, let me rush out to my computer and type a review of the Mario movie on Letterboxd.
Yeah, I just graduated 7th grade. Time to go fucking shit on that Mario movie that my mom made me watch on VHS.
All
Oh
right.
god.
We
I
should
love
probably
this scene. I love the scene at the end, or not the end, but like near the end, where they're just like on the dance floor, and like Mario and Luigi were in their like cocaine suits,
Oh,
and they
that
were
was
fucking.
awesome.
That was awesome, and they're just like, open the door, get on the floor, everybody walk the dinosaur, and there was a dinosaur. That was 10 out of 10. There's a little
Yeah,
dinosaur there.
it's fucking great.
It's fucking hell yeah, dude.
All right, well, let's wrap this up.
All right, so if you could give it a rating in a very succinct fashion, what would you give this movie out of 10 with a little bit of an annotation on that?
Fuck it, 10. No, fuck it, 8 out of 10. Fuck it, 8 out of 10.
Okay. So you gave it a 10 out of 10 with the with the annotation, fuck it, 8 out of 10.
Wait, let me start over. I give the Mario movie from 1993 an 8 out of 10, which might be a little generous, but I had a lot of fun with this. It's very stylish, and I wish we had more movies like this. I wish IP took risk. It was a breath of fresh air. How about you, Ive?
I want to say I'm going to go ahead and give this movie, the Super Mario Brothers movie from 1993, an 8.5 out of 10.
Oh my. What a
Oh
ooh,
my.
oh my, look at that.
Reduced to decimal points. Oh my.
Ooh.
And my little statement alongside that is
I am
fucking
Adolf Hitler, Commander of the Third Reich.
yeah. My little statement on the side of that is I mean, it's a fun movie. It's an entertaining watch. Watch it with friends. It was a fun time watching this with friends. You know, if you and your boys are having a little bit of a get together and watch this movie. It's fun, it's silly, it's not really that dumb. It's actually kind of smart in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And it's just a good time all around, and I wish more movies were like this as well.
And it also has Hugo from Succession. Hugo.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I forgot about that.
Hugo Sweep. He's going to be CEO on the final episode. Succession's going to end in 2 weeks, Ivan. You better watch it.
He looks like a turtle.
Hugo is fucking Adonis, okay?
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, shit. There we go. That's a review of the Super Mario Brothers movie. Thank you guys for watching. Zoomer Tombstone.
I hope she made lots of spaghetti. Did we do? By the way, guys, did we like take another movie from the 90s or whatever and went on a political rant for 30 minutes? Did we do that again?
Did we?
Whoops.
Check please.
Well, that could happen.
If you guys want to watch like 50% more episodes of us talking about dumbass movies and saying our dumbass thoughts about dumbass movies, go to our Patreon, patreon.com/Zoomer Tombstone. That's us.
Yeah, get your parents' permission.
Yeah, get your parents' permission before you go online.
Yeah.
But also, pay us money. Steal your parents' credit card. Steal all of their money, as a matter of fact. Steal their car.
Kill them.
Kill your parents. Kill them. Kill them now. And when you're done, go to the local sewer. Go into a sparkling cave with a glistening turd next to it. And there you'll be transported to the Craphattan version of Manhattan, and you can meet the Mario Brothers. They'll be there. Both of them. John Leguizamo? Nope, doesn't exist. He's actually fucking Luigi, and he's down there waiting for you. He plowed Daisy like 40 years ago, and he has like 37 kids, and they're all like fucking 20 now. So like, yeah, dude, you can go play with the Luigi-lings and get fucking railed by a Goomba. A giant penis-headed Goomba.
And you can meet Hugo from Succession.
I hope she made lots of spaghetti.